Paul, can I see? I can see you. I can see you. This is all for you. Now, we all know him from his iconic roles in American Splendor, Cinderella Man, John Adams, and of course, in this year's The Holdovers. But I just wanted to mention one film where I had the good fortune to share the screen with him. The film where his iconic status was truly launched, and that, of course, is Big Fat Liar. Oh, not so familiar? Okay, well, iconic. Iconic. Paul is one of the best actors I have ever worked with, because he just has, like, chops for days. When we were working on Sideways, one of my favorite moments happens at the end of the film, guess? When his character Miles is speaking to his ex-wife, who tells him that he's pregnant. And you can see on Paul's expression, from his expression, you can hear Miles's heart cracking. His mouth is smiling, you know, appropriate, polite, but his eyes are doing something completely different. You see the character's mournful recognition of his life choices. And now, in The Holdovers, we get to see Paul express so much with both eyes, doing very different things in very different directions. You got that joke. And as always, the complexity of his character's soul is palpable. It's a performance we have always known was there and have been patiently waiting for. Paul, your iconic status aside, I am here to tell you that I, and I think everyone in this room, deeply respects your work. And are thrilled to see you in The Holdovers, in a part that is worthy of your ability to attack language, to be able to perform pathos and humor with unparalleled depth, and to be able to create an odor-challenged, alcoholic, strabismus-inflicted character, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, you have to see the movie, into an icon for the ages. Let's please take a look.
Why are you so into Pinot?
It's thin-skinned, temperamental, ripens early, needs constant care and attention. Only somebody who really takes the time to understand Pinot's potential can then coax it into its fullest expression. This too shall pass.
Paul Giamati brings a lot of heart to everything he does.
You stay in this, okay? This is your place.
And then when he's doing dramatic scenes, he can do those, but with a sense of comedy as well.
You should try believing in something bigger than yourself. It might cheer you up. What, is she depressed? You gotta believe in me the way that I believe in you. Don't back up, don't back off. You gotta beat this son of a bitch from the inside out. First thing you gotta do is say the call letters properly. NBC. My whole heart is in all that I have, all that I am, and all that I hope in this life. I am now ready to stake upon it. History is not simply the study of the past, it is an explanation of the present.
Paul Giamati has such character as a human being, but also with what he brings to the table.
He was a great kid. I had him one semester. Very insightful.
He said you were a real asshole.
Well, like I said, sharp kid, insightful.
He makes everything fresh and recognizable. I just think Paul Giamati is the greatest actor. There's nothing he can't do.
Bring the young vandal here, Cherry's Jubilee.
I'm afraid I can't. The dish contains brandy.
What kind of a fascist hash foundry are you running here? If anybody orders Merlot, I'm leaving. I am not drinking any fucking Merlot.
President.
Oh, that's wonderful. You're wrong. You have your challenges. You're erratic and a gigantic pain in the balls, but you're your own man.
Please join me in celebrating Paul Giamati.
Miss O, isn't she amazing? Is she not amazing? Talk about iconic. Talk about an icon. Well, hello, Palm Springs. Happy New Year. It is a tremendous thrill, really. It is amazing to be here among these honorees from this year of extraordinary movies. But I gotta say, I'm a little bit overwhelmed. It's a little surreal to be called an icon. I'd never really thought of myself as an icon. I think an icon is like Marilyn Monroe, you know, or Jesus Christ. I mean, he's an icon, right? I'm not sure where I fit in that group. So it's rendered me somewhat speechless, which is why I actually wrote a speech. And for anybody who knows me, this is highly uncharacteristic. This is a first. So, let's see how this goes. The past couple of months have been pretty extraordinary for me. I'm in this beautiful movie, The Holdovers, which has a lot to say about human connection, empathy, teaching, learning, growing, memory, the past, loss. So it's made me think a lot about these things in regard to my own life. And as I was preparing for this, I was remembering the very first play I was ever in, like proper play that I was ever in. It was in high school, at a boarding school, not unlike the one in the movie, in the great state of Connecticut. Yeah, shout out for Connecticut. And those places are strange because they're kind of rough. And I was a miserable, miserable child. A little shy, a bit of a misfit. And this wasn't a great play. It was kind of a weird, old play by John Steinbeck, of all people, called Burning Bright, about middle-aged guys growing older and confronting their mortality. So it made a lot of sense to have me and another 16-year-old kid do this with sort of the white powder in our hair, getting sort of increasingly geriatric as we did it. It was wonderful. And in fact, it went over huge. It was great. And I vividly remember the feeling of walking off that stage, elated, feeling weightless with the joy of what I had just discovered, acting. And a teacher of mine, a math teacher, and I was really terrible at math, I still am, he came backstage. Now this guy was a mean, very mean person. Angry, bitter, cruel to a lot of kids, not unlike the guy in the movie, but worse. But in this moment, I almost didn't recognize him because he had tears in his eyes and he hugged me and he started telling me how I reminded him of an old friend of his from college who had passed away. The guy was a wreck. And it wasn't weird, it was kind of amazing because I saw a completely different person in front of me because he had seen a completely different person in front of him. And we had communicated. And we had connected, and we had learned about each other as human beings, and not these people that we thought we were, or thought the other one was. It was kind of shocking, that feeling, because it was very real. And this miserable child that I was, I found a new way to connect. And that planted a seed of acting deep in me. I loved it. But I kind of buried it for a while because I think it scared me. It's intense. And I went to college and I kept acting, but I kept telling myself, this is just a lark. I kept telling myself, I'm going to do something more serious with myself. But underneath it, I was always looking for that kind of connection. I was hungry for it. And after college, again, telling myself this was just a lark, I did a 6-week acting program in England where they brought in all these amazing professional actors and directors to work with us. And my first acting teacher in my first acting class ever was Alan Rickman. Right? The guy from Die Hard, right? Severus Snape, you know, right? Harry Potter. This is so long ago, this was before Harry Potter was a thing. That's how old I am. Talk about geriatric. He was amazing, as I'm sure you can imagine. He was a beautiful man, and he was a wonderful teacher. And at the end of the summer, he said to me, "Do you want to do this with your life?" And I said kind of sheepishly, "I don't know, Alan Rickman, I don't know." And he said, "Well, I think you should because you're good at it." And you gotta understand what that meant to me, how that landed for me. Because no one had ever encouraged me to do this. No one. And subsequent to deciding to be an actor, people still didn't encourage me, but I did it anyway. Because I'm stubborn, or I'm oblivious, maybe a little bit of both. They're good qualities for an actor, stubbornness and oblivion. And because my teacher had said that to me. So we have Alan Rickman to blame for me being up here. But what I'm really saying is we have a lot of great teachers to blame for me being up here. My father was a teacher, my mother was a teacher, all of my grandparents were teachers. There's many teachers in my family now. And the more I do this, the more I think acting may be a kind of teaching. Maybe a kind of shared mutual learning. At least for me, it's how we learn how to be human. It's how we learn about our common humanity, like in the Holdovers. And acting isn't as hard as teaching, but it's hard nonetheless. I've never found it easy. Not if you're doing it for real. And I've played some weird, difficult guys. And it's hard to get inside them sometimes. But I really do believe that the greatest challenge for a human being is to truly see through someone else's eyes. To walk in their shoes, to live in their skin. It's crucial for human beings to try to do that. I'm privileged to do it for a living. A lot of us in here are. I perpetually feel I don't get it right, so I have to do it again to try to get closer to the truth of someone else's experience. The stakes are really high. If I can help someone I have never met feel seen, or if I can help a total stranger see someone else, truly that's everything. That connection is everything. I'm in love with it, I'm addicted to it, and I always have been. All my frickin' life. I think about when I started out, it didn't matter what I did. I did weird black box theater in Seattle. I did industrial films for Boeing. Seattle, Boeing. I did so much random stuff. To get to the stage tonight, I did a lot of weird little bit parts. My first role on camera was a ABC TV movie with Linda Evans. I played a character called Heckler Number 2, a guy in a bar. I heckled somebody. I was the second guy doing the heckling to distinguish me from Heckler Number 1, which was the part. That's the part you really want. I played an under 5 part on NYPD Blue. The part was called simply Man in Sleeping Bag. I had one line. I didn't see nothing, man. I hope I did it better then than I did it just now, but I'm not so sure. And lately, journalists have been bringing this up a lot, these parts. And I laugh about it, it's funny, but the other day, someone asked me, wasn't it frustrating playing these parts, feeling you might never achieve the dream? And I said, I don't know, I was connecting, I was growing, I was learning. I was working. That was the dream. And someone else asked me, well, what was the turning point? I said, they're all turning points. Every one of them was a turning point, an opportunity, a chance to grow, to learn, to expand, to connect. And I still have the hugest respect for people who have to do those bit parts, because I did a lot of them. And surprisingly, they're not easy. Even man in sleeping bag. But of course, along the way, I was very lucky to meet people who helped me, who supported me, who guided me, saw things in me other people didn't. My manager, Perry Kipperman, my agent, Billy Lazarus. I had a lot of directors go to bat for me. Betty Thomas cast me in the Howard Stern biopic, Private Parts. I played a character called Pig Vomit. And what young actor doesn't dream of playing a character named Pig Vomit? Sherry Springer Berman and Bob Pulcini put me in American Splendor. They believed in me so much and they just set me free. I'm lucky to have had this happen. These are gifts that people give me. But no one gives me a greater gift of freedom than Mr. Alexander Payne, one of the great American directors. He cast me in Sideways. And he gave me the gift of someone asking me at least once a month if I wanted any Merlot. At least once a month. What a gift. But then he gave me the gift of the Holdovers. And as I said, I went to a school like that. I knew teachers like this. Unhappy men living in the wrong time, hiding from the present moment. And this film connects me to my past, to my family. And it connects me to these beautiful actors, so amazing. Divine, Joy Randolph, and Dominic Sessom. Glorious actors. They made it heaven to act in this funny, moving story. But most of all, and I want to thank Focus Features for this, it's connected audiences to these three characters who find a way to make their broken pieces fit together. It's a vital story about empathy in fraught times, about helping each other move forward, even if it's just a little bit. It's also a movie about loss. And I want to do something else uncharacteristic tonight. 20 years ago, before Sideways opened, days before, my mother died. She was an amazing, complicated woman, very smart, loved movies. And it was a small thing in the context of her death, but I really, really wish that she had seen this movie, because she would have loved it. 20 years later, right before The Holdovers came out, my older sister died. Life is weird, isn't it? She was an amazing woman, too. She was a performer in her own right. She was a ballet dancer. She was a writer. She was an amazing person, very smart. I wasn't being totally truthful when I said no one encouraged me, because she did. She always encouraged me. She saw every play, she saw every movie, and we'd talk about them. And I would learn more about what I had just done, because she was so smart, and we connected. And it's a small thing in the context of her death, but I really, really wanted her to see this movie, because she would have loved it. So I just want to remember her tonight. She would have given me no end of shit about being called an icon. She would have teased me. But I know she would be proud. Anyway, thank you, Palm Springs, for making me feel really connected tonight. To this place, to this festival, to these honorees, to my job, to my wife, and to all of you. It means more than I'll ever be able to tell you. Thank you very much.